Hi friends, in the last session we have discussed that oops. Okay, we have started that concept is oops part. So oops means object oriented programming. Okay, oops means object oriented programming. So previously what we discussed oops pops mechanism. Okay, sorry, function oriented or FOP. Okay, procedure oriented or function oriented. Okay, so simply we can say as POPs mechanism. Okay, function oriented programming or procedure oriented programming. Okay, function oriented or procedure oriented in the last up to now we discussed. So today, in the last session from we started object oriented programming. Okay, object oriented programming means in the real world entities keeping into programming. Okay, in the real world entities, what are they? So they are keeping into a programming is nothing but object oriented programming. So everything will play with the object only. So in programming, if you are writing something, so everything will depend on the object. Okay, everything will be depend on the object, right? So with respect to this object oriented means we discussed what is class, how to define class, and what is documentation string, and what is object. Okay, these we discussed. So class means in Python everything is an object. To create object we require some model or blueprint, okay, which is nothing but class, right? So we can write class to represent properties, and actions means behavior of object. Okay, properties can be represented by variables, actions can be represented by methods. Okay, properties can be represented by variables and actions can be represented by methods, right? Hence class can contain both variables and methods. Okay, class can contain what, both variables and methods. Okay, so in the same way, how to define a class? Okay, how to define a class means a class can define by using what, class keyword. So class we can represent by using what, class keyword. So class name, and this is nothing but what, documentation string. Okay, this is nothing but what, documentation string. Next we'll write normally variables and methods. Okay, we will write what, variables and methods. Next, so inside class what we are writing, documentation string. Inside class what we are writing, documentation string. So normally what is documentation string? Documentation string represents a description of the class. Okay, documentation string represents a description of the class. Within the class, docstring is always optional. Okay, within the class, docstring is optional. This is called what? Docstring, documentation string. Within the class, docstring is always optional, but it is recommended to write a documentation string to represent a description of the class. Okay, it is recommended to write a documentation string to represent a description of the class, right? Next, we can access docstring by using following two ways. Okay, we can access docstring by using following two ways. One is a class name dot underscore underscore doc underscore underscore, right? So by using this way or help of class name, this is nothing but what, a documentation string. Next, what is object? Okay, what is object means a physical existence of a class is nothing but object. A physical existence physical existence of a class is nothing but object. We can create any number of objects for a class. Okay, we can create any number of objects for a class. Syntax to create object. Okay, reference variable is equal to class name. Okay, reference variable is equal to class name. So example means just if you consider student is a class, so reference variable is equal to class name, right? Next, next reference variable is equal to class name. Next, normally, so we observe that how to create a class and how to define a class, right? So today observe here within the Python class. Okay, within the Python class we can represent. Okay, within the Python class we can represent data by using variables. Okay, within the Python class we can represent data by using variables. One is how many variables are normally these are of three types. Okay, these are of three types of variables allowed in Python. Okay, first one is instance variables. Okay, instance variables means object level variables. Okay, instance variables means object level variables. Next, static variables. Okay, second one is a static variables means class level variables. Next, third point is local variables. Okay, local variables. So local variables means method level variables. Okay, method level variables, right? Next, in the same way, within the Python class we can represent operations. Okay, within the Python class we can represent operations by using methods. Within the Python class, okay, within the Python class we can represent operations by using methods. Okay, the following are various types of methods. Okay, the following are various types of methods. Okay, the following are various types of methods. Clear? What are those means? One is instance method, and the second one is the class method and the static method. Okay, instance method, class method, and the static method, right? So just observe one small program. Just I'm writing. I will explain in depth in future. Okay, just as of now with this respect to these methods and variables, I am writing on small program. But don't worry, I will explain that program in detail in future. Okay, I'm taking one class. Okay, I'm taking one class student. Okay, I'm taking one class. Next, here I'm taking this is called what documentation string. Make sure inside class if you are representing triple quotes. Okay, inside triple quotes whatever you are writing it is represented as a documentation string. Developed this class for student details. Okay, for student details. Okay, next here what I'm taking means a def one constructor I'm taking underscore underscore init underscore underscore self dot name is equal to name. Self dot age is equal to age. Self dot self dot marks is equal to marks. Next, def talk self. So next what I'm taking one constructor. So don't worry, this is a constructor. So this is nothing but what underscore underscore init underscore underscore is nothing but what constructor. Okay, this is nothing but what constructor. Def talk. Okay, this is nothing but what one instance method. Okay, this is nothing but what one instance method. Print hello. Okay, hello, I am self dot name. This is called what? My age is. Next, my age. Next, my marks. Okay, self dot age. Age. Next, marks. Okay, so here what we are doing, once creating the object, s is equal to student of, okay, student of student, and we are passing the object. Okay, just represent, remember this is one small example, but how we can call what is this constructor, what is this instance method, I will explain each and everything. Just with respect to this class, how we are defining, I wrote one small program just to give some awareness. Okay, make sure I'm giving for awareness only I wrote this program. Okay, now observe the point. So this is nothing but what, just with respect to types of variables and types of methods. Now observe here, next point is what is reference variable. Okay, what is reference variable? Reference variable. What is reference variable? Okay, what is reference variable? So normally reference variable means the variable which can be used to refer object. Okay, the variable, okay, the variable which can be used to refer. Okay, the variable which can be used to refer object is called reference variable. Okay, the variable which can be used to refer object is called reference variables. By using this reference variable, okay, by using reference variables, we can access, okay, we can access properties and methods of object. Okay, properties and methods of object. Properties and methods of object. So this is nothing but what, reference variable. Okay, this is nothing but what, reference variable. So with respect to in the last example, okay, with respect to this last example, here what I am doing means I am taking here parameters. Okay, self comma name comma age comma marks. Self comma name comma age comma marks. Now observe the point clearly. Okay, now observe the point clearly. What is reference variable? The variable which can be used to refer object is called the reference variable. Okay, the variable which can be used to call refer object is called the reference variable. By using reference variables which can access properties and methods of object. So by using reference variable we can access properties and methods of object, right? So in the same case, by using that, what I am doing means s is equal to student. S is equal to student of Sai Kumar. Next, age 28, comma marks 100. Okay, marks 100. Next, what I am doing? So observe here, I am creating first object. Okay, I will explain this one point. X is equal to student. Okay, X is equal to student. Sai Kumar name. First parameter, second parameter, and third parameter. Okay, first parameter, second parameter, and third parameter. This is nothing but what, class name. Okay, this is nothing but what, class name. This is nothing but what, reference variable. Reference variable means syntax. Reference variable is equal to class name. Class name. So parameters are optional. Parameters if are optional. Parameters are optional, right? This is nothing but what a reference variable. Okay, this is nothing but what a reference variable. Okay. Next, here what I wrote one more pointer, talk. Okay, this is nothing but what a instance method. Okay, this is nothing but what a instance method. So here what I am doing is the dot talk. Okay, is the dot talk. So by using this pointer, we can execute this program clearly. Okay, by using this, we can execute this program clearly. So if you want, observe here. If you observe here, it is executing or not. If you observe, it is executing. So don't worry, I will explain each and every point in detail. First, observe the scenario what I am doing. Okay, this is nothing but what first reference variable. Okay, this is nothing but what a reference variable. So in the same way, next what is self variable. Okay, what is self variable. What is self variable. So observe point one. If you observe here, this is nothing but a constructor. First argument I am taking self. So self is a default variable which is always pointing to the current object. Okay, if you take inside the constructor, first parameter is self. If you take instance method also, first parameter is the self. Okay, make sure first constructor, first argument self implicit variable. For instance method also, first parameter is the self. So I'm writing first point. Self is the self is the default variable. Okay, self is default variable which is always pointing to the current object. Current object. Like this keyword in Java. Like this keyword in Java. If you are having knowledge on Java, so this is self variable just like this keyword. Just like this keyword in Java. So point number one is completed. Self is the default variable which is always pointing to the current object. Right? So point number one is completed. Point number two. Observe carefully. By using self variable, we can access instance variables and instance methods of object. Okay, by using self we can access instance variables. Okay, instance variables and instance methods of object. Instance methods of object. By using self, we can access instance variables and instance methods of object. Right? Okay, this is nothing but what by using self we can access instance variables and instance methods of object. So instance methods and instance variable means that this is nothing but what instance method. Okay, this is nothing but what instance method. This is nothing but what instance variable. The variables which are defined inside constructor by using self. Okay, I will explain instance variable also, but just what is self means I am explaining the points here clearly. Okay, so this is nothing but what self. So next point. Observe here one more point. Here I'm taking self as the default variable. Okay, do I need to take self only? Okay, do I need to take self or any other variable? Okay, self is the mandatory or any variable we can take. Okay, make sure instead of self you can take any valid argument. Okay, should not be a digit. Okay, should not be a digit and a special character. You can take any valid keyword argument, should not be a digit and special character. Okay, point number 3, instead of self, okay, instead of self we can take any valid keyword. Need not be a need not be need not be digit and a special character. Need not be digit and a special characters. Okay, sometimes special characters also will work, but make sure we have to provide only valid keywords. Okay, valid keywords, but need not be a digit. Okay, digit it won't consider. Okay, digits it won't consider mostly. Right. Fourth point, any variable inside constructor instance variable is always optional. Okay, sorry, the point here is for instance method and constructor, self variable self argument is the first argument should be mandatory. Inside constructor inside constructor first argument should be self and mandatory. Okay, inside constructor and instance method first argument should be self and mandatory as a mandatory first. Okay, inside constructor instance method is a first argument and should be self and mandatory first. Enough, right? So this is nothing but what this is nothing but what self. Okay, just I'm writing syntax. Okay, I'm writing syntax. Observe here, observe the point carefully. Self should be first parameter inside constructor. Okay, self should be first parameter inside constructor. Okay, inside constructor def underscore init underscore self. Self should be first argument inside instance method. Okay, self should be first parameter. Self should be first parameter. Self should be first parameter to the instance method. You may get one question. Okay, argument and parameter. What is difference between argument and parameter? Okay, argument and parameter both are same terminology. Okay, both are same terminology, don't get confused. Def talk self. Clear? Def talk self. This is nothing but what instance method. This is nothing but what constructor. Clear? So this is nothing but what self variable. Clear? So this is what we discussed as part of today with respect to what is reference variable and what is a self variable. Clear, right? So if you're having any questions or queries, please friends, please reach out to my email ID in the given description or post your query in the comment section. Okay, thank you friends. Thanks for watching, but please subscribe to my channel for more videos on technical. Thank you friends. Thank you all.